Hello and welcome back to my channel, Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. The first time I suspected that I was no longer my wife's man of choice was in July when I noticed she was no longer going to yoga classes. Later, I separated from my wife and I'm feeling 100% fine about it. Right now, it's time we listen to this epic story. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
10 years ago, I thought I had the perfect life. Upper six-figure job, beautiful wife, clean house, 2 new cars, and a child on the way. My job made me happy, and I was good at it, and the stability was great. My wife loved me for me and ignored my flaws as I tried to perfect them. In return, I adored her, and we seemed to be the perfect couple. People would always compliment us and talk about how envious they were of our relationship and everything. It kept getting better. I kept getting promotions. The kids, now 3, were born, and we eventually moved from an ordinary house to an incredibly nice one. My wife was doing very well in her career, and we took fun vacations every year. Again, I thought I had it made. I don't know how this wouldn't have prompted it, but in early 2015, I bought her a Tesla for her birthday. She hadn't gotten a new car since 2018, and I kept getting new cars, therefore I surprised her. She loved it, loved me, and I remember spending that entire day just taking rides in it and figuring out how all of the gadgets and icons worked.
It was completely downhill from there.
I don't know how that would have triggered anything, but in the months following, she became increasingly distant from not only me, but our children. My oldest, 10-year-old daughter in particular, felt hurt by this and would often try to ensue conversations with her mother in order to get her talking. Some days this would work and she would be pleasant, others it would have the opposite effect. The first time I suspected that I was no longer her man of choice was in July 2016 when I noticed she was no longer going to yoga classes, but telling me she was. We were on the same phone plan, and part of that plan was we could see our locations of our phones. I was routinely browsing the app one day and noticed she appeared to be at someone's house. Since she had been irrationally angry that day prior to leaving, I didn't question her about it when she got home from yoga. Instead, I chose to closely observe where she went during her yoga times. It would always seem to end up at the same house, a well-off neighborhood, probably a step above ours, a little north of town.
OP was getting ready to confront her when he noticed that she had been returning to yoga again.
During this period, she became incredibly distant. My entire family had noticed this behavior going on for over a year now, but I had had enough. I sat her down and asked her what was going on. She gave me the cold shoulder, and when I questioned her about the yoga locations, she accused me of stalking, invading privacy. That's when I asked her, "Are you cheating on me?" Of course, the answer was no. What followed in the weeks to come was distrust, hatred, and plain anger towards me. It was clear that she knew she was caught and was now trying to play the "I can't believe you'd think this" victim card. But I knew. I saw through it all. When she finally admitted that she had physical relations with another man, that's when I made my mistake. I forgave her. She told me she loved me, she loved our family, and in that moment, I believed her. I thought she could change. I was wrong.
We tried marriage therapy, taking vacations, and it seemed to work.
We were happy, and she was genuinely having fun, and it seemed like I had the old her back. I was relieved. This allowed me to pour more time into my kids and my work and have less stress overall. My business trip to San Diego was cut short when my colleague fell ill, and our clients insisted that we reschedule. It was a hassle, but we caught the next flight out and returned home. I'm not sure why I didn't tell her I was coming home, but I just didn't. Maybe I wanted it to be a surprise? The only surprise I received when I pulled into the driveway was seeing a Ford SUV in my garage and finding not one, but 2 guys in my room. This all happened yesterday. I'm finally putting it into words. My wife started babbling when it happened, desperately trying to explain. I heard none of it. I walked out of my room, went to the basement, and poured myself a drink. I could hear the men upstairs leaving, and when I returned upstairs, it was my wife sitting there with a sad smile on her face. She started talking, but I wouldn't have it. I told her to get out. I told her to get out of my house. I informed her that I'd get her stuff to her by the end of the week.
The wife tried to pull, "What about the kids BS?" but OP was just done. OP sad, but not for the wife. He's sad for his kids and whatever poor soul she meets next.
I will fight hard for my kids, but my biggest fear is losing them. I know the court will rule incredibly in favor of the mother. I hope they realize that I've spent the last 3 years doing my best to mend a broken marriage for my family, and nothing has worked. I told my kids this morning. They asked why Mom didn't spend the night last night. I didn't make them go to school today. They're all upstairs together. This whole situation is terrible for everyone involved, and it could have been completely preventable. I don't pity my wife. I hope that she has one label for the rest of her life: cheater. I want it to follow her. I want people to know. She is a prominent optometrist in our area. This could very well hurt her business if word spreads, which it very well may.
Now, here is a happy update.
I was incredibly distraught, but as of July 13th, 2018, our civil court case has officially concluded. It was a quick and easy process, and I was victorious in everything. This was after multiple years of her deliberately deceiving our family, and I was foolish enough to take her back after I already caught her cheating with someone much older and much richer than me. After telling her to get out, she became cold and said that she will take my kids away from me. I was beyond concerned at this point. I've heard horror stories in the courtroom about mothers getting their way no matter what, so I had no idea what to expect. I had to take time off from work this summer because I was consistently feeling sick and couldn't deal with the thought of my ex-wife watching over our children. If they grow up anything to be like her, I'll consider myself a parental failure.
OP made his plea for full custody and officially filed for divorce on May 21st, 2018.
I hired a lawyer from my best friend at work, who initially tried to do it for free after he heard what happened, but I simply wouldn't feel right. And he hopped on the case. Together, we went through my phone records, her phone location records, and gathered everything we possibly could to build our case. Court ceremony began on July 12th, the week after my kids and I returned from our vacation. I did not take them out of state per my lawyer's advice, but it was a good little distraction. My 10-year-old daughter, oldest, seemed to be emotionally stable enough to answer some questions by both lawyers, even after I requested her not to have to deal with this whole thing. She stated how my ex-wife had been difficult and paranoid for the last year, but she had learned to live with it, which is something no child should have to experience.
However, the statement that tipped the ceremony was the wife's announcement of moving to Southern California, which means the kids have to pick.
All 3 of them picked me. Her lawyer tried to argue that I was sabotaging them, influencing the kids to pick me over her, but the answer was clear. They wanted to stay in the same house, with the same friends, in the same school. The court ruled in favor of them living full-time with me. They were permitted to visit their mother whenever they please, as long as the stay does not extend 14 days without me. In addition, she is no longer allowed on my property, and that includes our South Carolina residence, my plot of land in Boulder, and any one of the office buildings that my company operates. My parents and immediate relatives have also put in requests so that she does not enter any of their homes as well. Ultimately, I'm completely relieved. It's the least stressed I've been in the past 3 years. It's a little sad knowing my marriage failed, but I realized I'm not responsible for that, and I'm going to take these next couple of years to myself and devote my time to my children.
Edit. Remember the Tesla OP gave her back in 2015. He took it right back from her, sold it to a lovely young man in Charleston, and returned the cash into American Cancer Society donations. End of the story. Well, OP, I'm happy that things turned out well for you. You deserve it, and you'll be able to move forward and move away from the toxicity of the past. I hope you and your kids are doing okay. Good luck to you. Before we go, let's listen to a few comments by the beautiful community.
Old Man 6868 says, I feel for you, as a similar situation to yours happened to me, and the absolute betrayal is what devastated me. But after a while, I was very bitter about it and just went off the rails. Then I met another woman who I ended up marrying and love her now more than anything. So, in the end, I was very lucky to find someone else when I least expected. Now, I'm just sad for my soon-to-be ex-wife, as she means absolutely nothing to me anymore. Hope you're okay. All the best. Let's Be Different says, yes. My best friend dated a guy for only 3 months. Everything seemed awesome. He was a cop and seemed like an all-around good guy. I even gave him a thumbs up. One night, he got drunk and did a whole bunch of crazy stuff. He lost his phone. She found it for him and, since she had just called, it was unlocked. She found messages from 4+ women, and one of which was him asking if this girl would make him wear protection next time. He was sending these messages while she was home making him dinner. I told her to get tested. She got an STD. Luckily, she found out quickly. She'd apparently had it for about a month. Go get tested. Do not wait. Grimfan32 says, man, I lost the air in my lungs reading this story when you mentioned coming home to catch her with 2. Man to man, my heart aches for you and your kids. But I learned something about you reading this story. You're a great man. You know exactly what you have to do. I am certain you will take great care of your children. They deserve you and are lucky to have at least one awesome parent. That's more than most separated families can provide. Good luck, good man. I wish you all the best.
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.